Alrighty guys, so this is the second tutorial video for Project 3 Folio Task 2, the Job Planner. So we're going to continue to look at this job, or this task, Task 2, the Job Planner. So previously we've gone through and created our spreadsheet to this point where we have edited the headers and the footers, okay, and also modified some of our alignment, our page margins and our page orientation. Alright, so as I've been going through this task, we've been crossing out all of the things we have done. So you can see in this document here that we've completed in our first tutorial video, we've completed sections 1 and 2 and also 5 and 7. Alright, so we've got table points 3, 4 and 6 to go through, as well as adding each of the jobs to the job planner. Okay, as well as adding each of the jobs to the job planner. Now, something that I instruct you to do, or that I urge that you do, is when you're reading through this task, for each of the jobs, you ask yourself the following questions. How long will it take to get this job done? What things do we need to get the job done? When do we need to get this job done by? What is the priority? And are there any other important points? These 5 questions will help you construct your job planner, and also help you construct the next task. I'll scroll down to that one, which is called Task 3, Work Schedules. All right, it's very important that you if you ask those questions, if you get that out of the way and get that information organized in the beginning, it will make these 2 tasks much easier. They will make it much easier. Alright, so picking up where we left off, we just finished doing the headers and the footers. We'd also inserted, as per these instructions here, so there are detailed instructions on what you need to include in your job planner. Now, please do not include anything extra. Alright, so you may, as we've gone through, we've talked about the different times in which certain jobs need to be done. There is no need in the job planner to include a section for time yet. That will happen in your work schedule. Okay, so you only need to include the 4 headings mentioned in this section. Okay, so we have added those. Now, under each of those will go each of the job tasks. Now, I'm not going to go through and put each of those job tasks in for you. I will actually in the next tutorial video. I will have some pretend tasks in there to show you how to do things like this point here. Sort your jobs based on priority and deadlines, and also how to create the chart showing your jobs. I will be doing that in a further tutorial video, but I will not be using the data above. I will not be using the jobs above. I will be using pretend jobs. I will be using fake information, because it is your job. It is your job to put and list the information. Okay, you're not just going to be copying down from me. Alright, so let's look now at formatting, or continuing to format the rest of our table. So we know that we're only going to be using these 4 columns. And we also know that we have, if we count them up, if we go back to our folio, we are going to have, and we're going to list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 jobs. Alright, so I'm just going to write that down in my spreadsheet. Just down here, we will get rid of this. 11 jobs total. Okay, so this will help. This will help with our formatting of the table. Okay, because I want to go through all the formatting in this video first. We also need to estimate the time. This comes under this one here. Estimate the time you expect you will need to complete each task, and total this using the sum formula. We will get to learning about the sum formula, but we also need a section for totals. So there's going to be our title, so just laying this out, we're going to need a row for our headings. We're going to need 11 rows for job titles, for the jobs, and then we're going to need 1 row for totals. So we're going to use a total of 13 rows. So we will need, write this down, so we will need 13 rows in our job planner. So we'll be using from row 1 down to row 13. That will be the section, or it's just this section here that we're using. Okay, we're not going to be using any of these cells outside of here. Okay, there's no need. These are not necessary. Okay, it's just in this space here. All right. So with that in mind, I might just we've got that. We know that that's the space we're using. With that in mind, we're going to continue and go through and edit based on section 3 table. Section 3 table. So 3.1, table borders to be black 1 point thickness. So we need to border that entire section there and make it black 1 point thickness. So to do that, I'm going to just highlight that area. So from row 1 down to 13, across to column D. I'm then going to use the borders function, and I'm just going to use the all borders and put lines. Now we can clearly see our area. We can clearly see our area. The other aspect of that was not only that we needed to make use black borders, but they need to be 1 point thickness. So they need to be a thickness of 1. So to change the thickness, back into borders, and we're going to go to more borders. We're going to ensure that we have it at 1 point thickness. Alright, so if we just select and ensure that we've selected the single line, that is 1 point thickness. So just ensuring that we select that line and it is 1 point thickness. Alright, so we're back to our style guide, and once we've done that, we cross that out. So using that strikeout function to know what we have and have not done. Alright, column headings. So these are our column headings. Column headings to be aligned left and bold, Arial or Arial narrow, no smaller than size 12. Alright, so there's a lot there. Let's just start off with the first one. Column headings to be aligned left. So these are our column headings. Make sure they are aligned to the left. That's pretty basic. I believe they're already aligned to the left, but we cannot assume. So just ensure highlighting our headings, align them to the left. Cross that out. They also must be bold. So let's do that next one. Make them bold. Nice and easy, nice and simple, making them bold. Nothing here so far is too difficult. Arial / Arial narrow, no smaller than size 12. So it can be Arial or Arial narrow. I'm going to go with Arial narrow, and we have to make sure that it is size 12, or no smaller, sorry. No smaller than size 12. That means that you can make it bigger than size 12, but you cannot make it size 11. Okay, I'm going to go up to size 16 because I want these to be nice big headings. Now once your headings increase in size, you'll notice that they no longer fit within our cells, so we need to increase the size of our columns, or increase the width of our columns so that we can see everything. Please do that now. Something to be mindful of that I've just seen is that job planner at the top is actually size 14, and it should be the main heading, main title. So that should be bigger than these titles. So I'm actually just going to increase that to 16 and make these 14, because job planner at the top should be bigger than these column headings because it is the main heading. So just ensure that your heading, your title at the top is never smaller than your column headings. So I've just made that one 16 and I've made these 14. Okay, so back to our style guide. We've changed it to Arial and we've selected an appropriate size, so we can cross that one out. Alright, header rows / columns to be filled with logo pale blue, that is the colour, so we need to shade the header rows or columns with logo pale blue, and those are the coordinates for that. So I'm just going to copy and paste those coordinates down here so that I can see them. Okay, they're just there so I can see them. I will delete that information in a moment. So we need to shade this row because it is our heading. I'm going up to the little paint can, to the little fill colour paint can, and clicking on the arrow beside it and going to more colours. This is similar to what's been done previously in Project 1 and 2 as part of Microsoft Word. And we need to fill it with the logo pale blue colour, who has the coordinates R137, G192 and B229. Just filling in that top row with that correct colour. Please do that now. Alright, now that I've put that colour in, I'll delete, just get rid of those colour coordinates. I'll also get rid of that. We will need 13 rows in our job planner because we can clearly see the 13 rows that are marked. Now, if perchance my calculations are incorrect on how many rows we need, you can just simply highlight and put more rows in, okay, if need be. Okay, if need be. Going back to the style guide, crossing out that we have done that. Next one, Arial font size 10 should be used other than for headings. Other than for headings. So we need to make sure that our table, everything else in our table or on our page, is Arial font size 10. Now I know that this is the only section that we intend to use, but I'm going to highlight the rest of my page, okay, or some additional cells, and ensure that I change it to Arial size 10. Arial size 10. Okay, the reason for this is just in case. Again, just in case, Arial size 10. Just in case I use some different cells or some other cells, I want to make sure that I've got the correct, I want to make sure that I have the correct font for those. Okay, I want to make sure I've got the correct font for those. So highlighting the entire first page and changing it to Arial size 10. If your view is different to mine and you want to see the document like mine is, it's very easy to switch between our different views. It is in the View tab. You can view it as normal, and you'll notice that we no longer see the headers and the footers. And it also kind of looks like you don't have borders around the outside on the left-hand side and on the top of our table. But if you change that to page layout, you can then see this is what it will look like if it was printed. Okay, this is what it would look like if it was printed. So it that's a good way to, you can change the view and you can see what you see there. If you take away ruler too, you won't see that ruler as well. Also too, you can take away grid lines. So if you want to see what it looks like on the page, okay, you can take away those grid lines. You can also take away headings as well. Okay, if you don't want to see, if you just want to see it like that. Okay, so play around with whatever. I tend to have everything on just so because I can see everything a lot better that way. Okay, so but play around with it and use it to effect for yourself. All right, back to the style guide. We can cross out that we've changed the font. However, though, I will highlight that because that is one that we will come back to. We want to make sure and ensure later on that that we've used the correct font, that our fonts didn't change for some reason. Text within body cells to be aligned left. So again, highlight that same area and ensure that the text is aligned to the left. Right, crossing that one off. Okay, now the next section here, numbers. This 3.6 is all about numbers. It's all about numbers. Now, we haven't actually put any numbers in. We won't know what cells will have certain numbers in them. till we start actually entering in our data. So I'm going to highlight that as a section to come back to. We need to come back to that one once we've inserted or included any numbers into our table. And the last one, vertical alignment within rows to be centered. So we looked at our horizontal, okay, our horizontal left to right. Vertical is our up and down. So that is our up and down. So we need to ensure that we are vertically aligned to the center. Okay, now we can check that by increasing the size of this header row. Now I'll undo that, but you can see there that this text is aligned not in the center vertically, but to the bottom of the cell. Okay, so while I'll just reduce that size again, it is important to ensure that we follow everything. We're going to highlight that whole first page. We're going to highlight that whole first page. And in the alignment section here, you can see that we've got, not only do we have our left, center and right, but we also have top, middle and bottom. So we just want to change everything to the middle. So at the moment, all of our text should be aligned to the middle and to the left. So highlight that whole first page, align to the middle and the left. All right, and we can strike that one out. So it is at this point now that there's nothing else that we can do as per our style guide. Number 4 is charts. I'm going to highlight charts. We can't do that until we have some data, okay, until we have some actual information in the table. And printing, we cannot print until we have some information in there. And once we get our information and our chart in, okay, that's when we start looking at how we print. So it is now at this point, guys, that we must start entering in our information. We must start entering our information as per the folio. So right now in this video, in this tutorial video, I'm going to demonstrate writing in the information for the first job. Okay, for the first job that appears. You then will need to continue putting in the information for the remaining jobs. Okay, for the remaining jobs. When you first enter in the data, please just enter the data as per, or just enter each job as per the order it appears in the folio. Okay, there's no need to rearrange it in any way, shape or form yet. Do not rearrange it in any way, shape or form yet. Okay. So let's look at the first job. Let's look at the first job now. Create, using Microsoft Office, some safety signs to be printed in color on A4 paper. The designs and instructions are to be collected from Henry. These are needed by the end of the week. You anticipate these will take you no more than an hour to complete. So looking at the answers to those questions, we know how long will it take you to get this job done. 60 minutes, 1 hour. Time needed for completion. So this is the first job in the first row. We know that it is going to be 60 minutes. So I'm going to put in 60. Now notice that I am putting in 60. I am not writing 1 hour, and I am not writing 60 minutes, okay? Because Excel, if we would, and we will at the end of the completion of this document, or towards the end, we will be totaling up. We will be using Excel to do a little bit of maths for us. We need to ensure that we type out our numbers as numbers and don't turn them into words like 60 mins. Okay, that turns it into a word. Okay, so we just want to type it out in minutes. Okay, in minutes. And what I'm going to do there is, thinking about that, time needed for completion, I'm going to put in brackets at the end here, minutes. So every single, so for every single time that I put down here, it has to be in minutes. All right, so if any of our jobs, if a job says it will take 1.5 hours, we must write that in minutes. 1.5 hours in minutes is 90 minutes. So you write that in as minutes. Okay? Now, when you add the additional words there in minutes, you may find that your table ends up on the following page, or that your whole table doesn't fit neatly on one page. Do not stress at this point if your table does not fit on one page. When we get to section 6 of the style guide, printing, I will be showing you tips and tricks, okay, or functions of Excel that will help you or allow you to get everything to fit neatly onto one page. So do not stress if it currently goes over one page. Okay, mine at the moment neatly fits on one page, but it could look like this. Okay, it could look like this. Let's see if I can get it to fit on it. There we go. Just keeps increasing the size of the page. Okay, well it didn't. Okay, it could look like that where it goes over onto another page, but it wouldn't do that for me. Okay. All right, so it could look different. It could go over onto the next page. Don't stress. I will show you in further tutorial videos on how to fix that. All right, next part. So that was that first question. So I can cross that first question out. That was easy. What things do we need to get the job done? So this question here, we're talking specifically about the resources and equipment needed. What things do I need to get this job done? And you need to be specific. Not too specific, like we don't need to say, well, I'm going to need a light above me and I'm going to need electricity, but what things generally would you need? And also talking about what things do you need to make sure you have, because you may not have them. Okay? Because you may not have them. All right? So we're talking here about creating some safety signs to be printed in color on A4 paper. Okay? So the first thing that I've got written down is A4 paper. You cannot assume that your office is just going to have A4 paper. What if it's the day before you get your new supply and you've run out? Okay, these are the things that we need to check and make sure that we have. We also need to make sure that we have a printer, but that printer must be able to print in color. Okay, if you don't specify a printer, a color printer, you might end up with a black and white printer, and then you can't print these because they want the job specifically says they must be in color. So that's something you must specify. I'll zoom in just a bit. There we go, make it a bit easier to read. You need to collect the instructions and designs. The designs and instructions have been collected from Henry. If you don't, that is a resource that you need. You must have the instructions and the designs, otherwise you can't create the signs. You're going to need a computer. You're going to need, not time notes, Tim's notes. We probably don't need Tim's notes this one. Okay, Tim's notes for a lot of the other ones. We're going to need coloured ink. You're going to need to make sure that you have coloured ink in the printer. You're going to need Microsoft Office. You can't create, it says there, using Microsoft Office. You can't assume that your computer will have Microsoft Office on it. You may need a scanner. You may need to scan some images, or you may need to scan some of the designs. And you're probably going to need a laminator and laminating pouches, because if there are signs that are going to go up in the workplace, you're going to want them to be laminated. So we need to think about potentially all of the things that we might need. Okay? You might need, in future jobs, you might need envelopes. You might need to post something, so you're going to need stamps. You might need to put something up on a wall, so you're going to need blue tack. You might need to staple something, so you're going to need staples and a stapler. We've got to think about every little thing that we potentially will need. So I'm just going to copy paste. So I can just copy paste these into the resources needed. That's an easy one. Okay. Now notice how I pasted that. I pasted using match destination formatting. So this keeps it. If I went the other way, if I went this way, Control Z, if I just went Control V and pasted it in, notice that it uses the purple formatting. And we don't want that, do we? So I can just use this one here, which is match destination formatting, which is the destination being this spreadsheet, and it will copy in and ensure that it is Arial size 10. Alright, so we've run into an issue now with this. Our text does not fit neatly into this little box. It does not fit neatly. Notice that it starts off A4 paper, printer, must be able to print in color, instructions and designs, computer, colored ink, etc. But we get cut off here at instructions. We get cut off here at instructions. In order for us to see this, we can either increase the size of our box, okay? But notice that that doesn't look very good, okay? That doesn't look very good. Not to mention, if I started typing in this job description and it ended up really, really big, we'd end up with really, really long columns, or really, really wide columns. Okay, so I'll undo that, undo that, undo that. Okay, back to the size it was. There's a function. Okay, there is a function in Excel called wrap text. Now what this will do is it will wrap extra long text into multiple lines so you can see all of it. So if I select that cell, just that cell at this point, and wrap the text, notice that now I can see all of the text, and it increases the height of that row. It increases the height of that row. Okay. So please, once you've typed that out, wrap the text so that we can see everything in that cell. All right, next, we need to then write our job description. We need to write our job description. All the information for our job descriptions merely comes from this here. But what I do not want to see is a straight copy and paste. You do not copy and paste this and put it straight in there. Okay? You need to use your note-taking skills to abbreviate this down into a much smaller write-up. Okay, into a much smaller write-up. That when you actually come time to do the job, you don't necessarily need all of this information. Okay? Some of it you might be able to abbreviate down, and really we want to abbreviate it down into its barest form, into the least amount of information that we need. So I'm just going to change and modify my screen so that I can see both. Alright, so create using Microsoft Word some safety signs to be printed in color on A4. So we need to create safety signs. Okay, full stop. Use Microsoft MS Office. So I've abbreviated Microsoft down to MS. Use MS Office. I'm going to go to Designs and Instructions. Need to be collected from Henry. Printed in color on A4 paper. Need to be completed by the end of the week. Okay, and it says that you anticipate these will take no more than an hour to complete. Well, we've already put that information. We've already put that information into the time needed box, so there is no need to put that information in there. So we don't need to include the time because that's there, and we don't need to include any of the resources except for what was specifically mentioned. Okay. So again, this text here, we can't see it. I'm going to wrap that text. Okay, I'm going to wrap it. Just make this bigger again. I'm going to wrap that text, and that makes it easier to see. Okay, we still actually can't quite see. There we go. All right. Now that's, in terms of our design, that doesn't look very good. Okay, it doesn't look very good. We will, when it comes time to printing, actually modify. We might increase the size of this column. That makes it easier to see. Okay, double click. There we go. Okay, so there will be some changes made to the size of the columns. Okay, notice that I can make some changes now. Okay, make some changes. That makes it easier to see some things. Okay, but there will be some changes made. At this point, you're just wanting to ensure that the correct information is present and that it is formatted according to the style guide. Right, please do so now. Add that information to the job description. All right, the last thing that we need to fill out for each job is the priority. Now you'll notice that I have not, with any of these jobs, listed what their priority is. It is difficult, it is really, really difficult to list the priority until you've added everything into the table. Okay. The priority, I'll explain what the priority is, because your next task before the next tutorial video. So the next tutorial video will have fake information in here, okay? But you will need to put all the rest of the information from these jobs into the table. Okay, so all the rest of the job information needs now to be entered into the table. All right. Once all that information is complete, we'll need to fill out the priority. So it says here, under the column heading priority, prioritize your jobs by placing an A, highest priority, B, a moderate priority, and C, a low priority. Okay. Highest priority, these are the things you have to do. Okay, or at least think of them, because we're job planning for one day. Things you have to do at a certain time or by the end of the day. Okay, so A are the things that you have to do at a certain time or that you have to do by the end of the day. So as an example, your lunch break is at 12 p.m. This is a priority A. Why is it a priority A? It must be done every single day and it must happen at a certain time. That is a priority A. Okay, that is a priority A. Priority B, moderate. So these would be things that must be done, but not by the end of the day. Okay? Things that must be done, but not by the end of the day. So as an example, create safety signs, need to be completed by the end of the week. This would be a priority B. I would give this task a priority B. It does not need to be completed. It does not need to be completed by the end of the day. You've got till the end of the week. Okay, you can have a priority B. Okay, it can be priority B. Low priority, these are things that you can do, things you should do, but could be given to someone else or could be done by anybody. Okay. Anyway, so these are things that you could get somebody else to do, you could get help with. They're things that you should do, but you could be done by anyone. They could be done at another time. There's no rush on these. So anything with a time frame would be a B or an A. Would be a B or an A. Okay. I'll go up. I'm just going to mark in. I'm going to mark in that this is a priority B. Okay. Now you should also with your priority A's, is mark them as A1, A2, A3, etc. Okay. A1 is something that you need to do first. A2, second, A3, etc., etc. All right. So as an example, this task here. Collect photos from Tim Munro. These need to be scanned for use in promotional material. Please email the photos to Tim. There are 12 photos. Each should take no longer than 1 minute to scan. Tim needs these done as soon as possible. Okay, this would be your priority A1. Okay, he needs them done as soon as possible, which means now. So that would be your priority A1. Okay, you would then look at when other tasks need to be finished and you would prioritize them accordingly. Right, if you're watching this tutorial video, your teacher should take you through this in class and ensure that the priority order is correct. Okay, ensure that the priority order is correct. Okay. All right, so it is at this point that you now are to insert all of the other task details, all the other job description details into the table, ensuring that you only write in minutes, list all equipment needed, and abbreviate the job, condense the job description down. In the next tutorial video, we will go through again, continuing to format the table ready for printing. We'll also create the chart that is required. And there are a couple of little things like sorting, okay, sorting the task as well. Thank you very much.